It is now 5:35. So Christina, if you would like to, excuse me, instead of the governor's reading, if you actually want to go ahead and perform a roll call to establish our quorum, and then we'll move forward with the governor's reading.
Okay, Dr. Ali, Andre Allen,
Present.
Chief Boone, Shalandra Birch,
Shalandra's here.
Terry Burnside, Allison Galvin,
Here.
Nina Gugis,
Here.
Nikolai Greaves, Lorene King,
Here.
Sharon Kramer,
Here.
Megan Nguyen,
Here.
Kyson Parks, Chief Theobald,
Here, Christina.
Karen Wilson, Janice Segardo.
Here.
Okay. All right. And then Governor J.B. Pritzker's Executive Order 2021-05, as amended and extended, limits meetings to the lesser of 25 persons or 25% of the overall room capacity. Governor J.B. Pritzker's Executive Order 2021-05, as amended and extended, requires that public bodies take steps to provide video, audio, and/or telephonic access to meetings. The CDC recommends social distancing of at least 6 feet between persons. To comply with these recommendations and requirements, this Police Community Relations Advisory Committee is being held via Zoom while still complying with the spirit of the Open Meetings Act.
Awesome. Thank you, Christina, for performing our role in reading of the governor's order. At this time, we have minutes that we need to approve from our various town hall meetings and then also our standard advisory committee meetings. So what I'm going to do, just so they're accurately recorded, is I'm going to just go through each one individually. So I would like to seek a motion to approve the January 7th, 2021 Town Hall Series minutes.
So move, Lorene King.
Thank you, Ms. King. Is there a second?
Second, Megan Nguyen.
Second, Megan Nguyen. All right. Thank you. Christina, if you want to go ahead and perform the roll, please.
Andre Allen,
Yay.
Shalandra Birch,
Yay.
Allison Galvin,
Yay.
Nina Gugis,
Yay.
Lorene King, Lorene, Ms. King, I think you're on mute.
Yes.
Okay. Sharon Kramer,
Yes.
Megan Nguyen,
Yes.
Chief Theobald,
Yes.
Janice Segardo.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Now I would like to seek a motion to approve the January 14th, 2021 Advisory Committee minutes.
I'll motion that, Janice Segardo.
Okay.
I'll second that, Allison Galvin.
All right. Motion by Dr. Segardo, second by Allison. Christina, can you move forward with the roll again, please?
Andre Allen,
Yay.
Shalandra Birch,
Yay.
Allison Galvin,
Yay.
Nina Gugis,
Yay.
Lorene King,
Yay.
Sharon Kramer,
Yay.
Megan Nguyen,
Yes.
Chief Theobald,
Yes.
Janice Segardo.
Yes.
All right. Now I would like to entertain a motion for the February 4th, 2021 Town Hall Series minutes.
Sorry, Mr. Allen, what date was that?
February 4th, 2021 Town Hall Series minutes.
Thank you.
Can I entertain a motion?
I'll motion, Megan.
All right, motion by Megan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, second by Nina. Christina, please proceed with the roll call.
Andre Allen,
Yes.
Shalandra Birch,
Yay.
Allison Galvin,
Yay.
Nina Gugis,
Yay.
Lorene King,
Yay.
Sharon Kramer,
Yay.
Megan Nguyen,
Yes.
Chief Theobald,
Yes.
Janice Sagardo.
Yes.
All right. And lastly, I would like to entertain a motion to approve the February 11th, 2021 Advisory Committee minutes.
So moved.
All right, so moved by Nina. Is there a second?
Second by Lorraine.
Second by Ms. King. Christina, please move forward with the roll call.
Andre Allen,
Yes.
Shalandra Birch,
Yay.
Allison Galvin,
Yay.
Nina Gugis,
Yes.
Lorraine King,
Yay.
Sharon Kramer,
Yay.
Megan Nguyen,
Yes.
Chief Theobald,
Yes.
Janice Sagardo.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Christina. And as always, thank you for preparing the various minutes for our meetings and our town hall series. And for the record, if anybody would like to access those minutes or the video podcast from our virtual town hall series, you can access those at www.peoriagov.org/citycouncil/meetings. So you can find a copy of the record there. I want to say welcome, and I hope everyone is doing good on this fine Thursday. The weather is getting better. I'm 2 seconds maybe of getting some summer clothes out. I don't know if there's time. But before we go into our business, I just always like to perform a wellness check. Is everyone doing okay? Or would anybody feel comfortable with sharing anything with the committee at this time?
It's Lorraine, and I'd like to share that I got my second shot. It'll be 2 weeks tomorrow. No side effects.
That's awesome. That's
Feeling-
awesome. I'm glad you're doing well, Ms. King. That's awesome.
Congratulations. Do you feel 10 feet tall?
Maybe wide.
Hey, I hear you there. I've gained the COVID-19. I got to get my life together. So I definitely hear you on that. Anybody else want to share anything, with the group?
This is Allison Galvin, and I just want to give a huge shout out to Petco off of Sheridan for saving me and my dog. My dog was going to get groomed, and he had a seizure while he was getting groomed. And Petco, helped me with, responding with my dog having a seizure, as well as me having a panic attack while he's having a seizure. And then for the Petco manager, driving my dog to their local vet, and then actually staying there during the whole time, and then as well as footing or paying the vet bill for me. So I definitely recommend, if you have any dogs, please take them to Petco off of Sheridan. I know there's not a lot in that strip mall, but it'd be nice to have some foot traffic in there after everything they've done for me.
Thank you, Allison. Great story. And it was on the news a couple of days ago. And so I'm sure if you go to WMBD's Facebook page, that article is still out there. So we're glad Allison and Buddy are doing good. So thank you for sharing that. Anything else before we move on to unfinished business? All right. So let's go ahead and move forward to unfinished business. And I would like us to just have some discussion, just a recap discussion around our virtual town hall series. So we started this as a 3-part series in January, February, and March in order to, as this was like kind of a pilot, just to kind of see how it was going to go. And then from there, kind of assess it, see how things went, see what went well, what didn't go well, what improvements are available. Obviously for those who attended those, January was attended fairly, it was about, I think, between 17 and 20 people. February was at 1 person, and then last week, of March, we only had 2 people there. So we didn't have the attendance. I think we can all contest we didn't have the attendance that we were looking for. But I think, in my opinion, each one did warrant some good discussion that I think is good to be had. And now that all those sessions are recorded and they're out there as well too. So if anybody wants to review those, they can see that we're having some of these important discussions and that these opportunities are available. So at this time, I just want to open up the discussion, or the floor for discussion. and just be honest and transparent. What are you all's thoughts on the virtual town hall series? Is this something that we should look to continue with? And there's some things that we have to look into if we're going to be able to continue it. For example, Christina and Paul are technically on overtime when they participate in those. So we have to make sure that we do get approval for them to have overtime if they want to continue with that. So I'll have to contact City Manager Yurt about that to see if that will be something that we can move forward with. So that's just a disclaimer that we'll have to look into. But just real fast, let's open up the floor. What are our thoughts on the virtual town hall series?
I'll start.
Go ahead, Ms. King.
I think that it would have been better attended if we weren't going through the pandemic, because people had other things and priorities on their mind. And I'm thinking that maybe we should do it again in maybe late summer, early fall.
I agree. It's a lot going on right now. A lot of people are trying to balance a lot of things. So I agree with that, Ms. King. The timing wasn't there was a lot of things competing against it. One example of that was it was on the same day as a mayoral candidate forum. And, competing with that it's always tough as well too. Dr. Zagardo, I saw you had your emoji up.
I don't know. I am of the feeling that we should continue them because I think people might have cold feet. They don't really know what's going on. I think you had some really excellent discussions and some good participation, and I'd hate to stop them. I think the regularity is important, something people can count on. I just, for one, think we need to get it out there more. I mean, I listen to WCBU all day and I never heard it on WCBU. I did post 2 of them on my Facebook page, but I just feel like it was too late to get, I mean, I don't know. I would hate to, I just think we need to give people the opportunity to participate. And I think it's going to be slow to catch on because it's so new. I think if we could maybe vary the day, I don't know. If you think it's pandemic Zoom overload, or is it just bad scheduling? But to me, it's a great opportunity for people it's so easy just to flip on your computer and you don't have to drive anywhere. You don't have to get dressed. You just pop on. So I just hope that the word spreads and that we're not gone all of a sudden when the word spreads. So I mean, I'm willing to continue doing them. I don't know how everybody else feels about it.
Thank you, Dr. Zagardo. Allison, and again, if you want me to call on you, just please use the reaction handle on your Zoom account, and I'll call on you. Allison?
So I think maybe I don't know how everyone feels comfortably, because I know some politicians are obviously still canvassing. So I'm thinking that maybe if everyone's comfortable, we can kind of pick a zip code that we want to target if we don't want, or just walk around our neighborhood, not sure where everyone lives. And just if, Christina, or if, I'd be happy to make a flyer, for our committee and with the next Zoom information, or just even the next date and time, and then giving them Christina's email so that they can get set the Zoom link and /RSVP. Or even just putting flyers, between people's doors, just kind of telling them about, who we are and stuff. Or I think last time Dr. Zagardo mentioned a mailer, something like that, just to kind of get out there, just because, social media, we have that too, but it's hard because, again, I know everyone was concerned about the Zoom bombers. So I think, if we can really get out there, mailers or some type of flyer, because at least they can have physical mail. And then, also some people who don't have video access to Zoom, they can also call in we can have that option as well. So I'm not sure what everyone else thinks.
Yeah, I think that as again, and please, if you have any discussion, just use the reaction icon and I'll call on you. I like the ideas that you're saying, Allison, and I'm with you as well, Dr. Zagardo. I would love for these to continue. Hopefully they can. I think that we just have to be intentional with our outreach. I would like to even see a couple people from our committee, be our communication champions. So for example, that's Miss King, or Ms. Sharon saying, okay, you know what, I'm going to go to the NAACP and tell them about the town hall series. I'm going to go to this organization because I know they meet and they allow guests from the community to come and talk about, what's going on. I know, I believe it's War Chapel off MacArthur. They have, pre-COVID they did, but they would have these morning talks. I'm going to be that person that's going to go there and talk to them about this and kind of getting the word out. I think that's what we need, is just some of that intentionality. Shalandra, I saw you had your hand up.
Yeah, I had a couple of things. With the mailer, I think that's a good idea, but I think that we have to make sure that the amount that we print is not like 500, for example, and then not to say 500 people will show up, but just be careful of how many we print out so that we don't have a large Zoom meeting. But I do think that that is a sound idea. Another thing, and I don't know if this is possible because we haven't done this before, but like, kind of how they have like churches or just different kind of things where they have a Facebook Live event. Is that something that we could host and that would bring traffic? I know we don't have our own Facebook page, but I'm just thinking of an idea to bring more people.
Yeah, so we go through the city's Zoom account, and so it's kind of universal how all the other committees are functioning. So we would have to function in this space. But I like the idea of visiting churches, if that's possible, reaching out to the religious community. Again, I think if we have a few people who are saying, you know what, I'm going to be the communication champion to get this out. As someone who's currently campaigning, mailers are expensive. They aren't cheap. But I like the idea of kind of what Allison was saying as far as like canvassing. I would be cool with, Ms. Peterson, she created a graphic for us. We could literally like copy and paste her email and make copies of it. I'll be down to print off 100 copies off my own personal printer and saying, hey, let's go canvass, this neighborhood, from 5 to 6. Let's knock on the doors with some neighbors, have on masks, and we could give out flyers. I would be down for that. I think that's a little bit more cost effective. And in my opinion, I think it's a little bit more efficient because sometimes with those mailers, you don't know where they end up. Sometimes they go from the mailbox to the trash. And if you could at least get it maybe in someone's hand, and you can have that conversation and explain why the town hall series is important, it could be more effective. Ms. Birch, did you have anything else?
No, that was it. Just I gotta make sure I remember the time. I'm getting these 2 times confused, these Thursdays confused, but I'm gonna get better at it.
Okay. No problem. I know it's that back to back, and again, that's something that we can talk about. Originally it was back to back because it allowed us to have our town hall series meeting, and then we use this meeting to kind of have a recap. That's kind of why I liked it. That way, we can kind of keep the momentum going. But if you all are feeling that maybe that time doesn't work that day, I just was kind of thinking like, we already kind of have Thursdays around this time already kind of carved out in our schedules. And so kind of throwing a curveball up a Monday at, 6 might not work, you know what I mean? So I was just trying to, think strategic. But if you all feel that we might want to switch it up, that could be something in the proposal as we look to move forward. So is it pretty universal though that you all would like to continue to have these happen if possible? Can I get some emoji reactions real fast just so I can count them up real quick just to kind of see who's all trying to keep the dream alive here? All right.
I didn't know how to do the emoji thing, but yes.
All right. So how about we do this just to make it official? I would like to seek a motion to move forward with a proposal to continue the virtual town hall series. And the approval of this motion will allow me to move forward. I'll contact City Manager Urick and see if we can get pre-approved overtime for city staff personnel to be there.
I motion.
I'll second, Janice.
So we have a motion by Allison and a second by Dr. Zagardo. Christina, can you perform the roll, please?
Andre Allen,
Yay.
Shalonda Birch,
Yes.
Allison Galvin,
Yes.
Nina Gugis,
Yes.
Larry King,
Yes.
Sharon Kramer,
Yes.
Megan Nguyen,
Yes.
Chief Theobald.
Yeah, I'll abstain until we hear from the manager, but I,
Okay. Janice
Thank
Zagardo.
Yes.
All right, so I will move forward. I will reach out to him and provide a status report to you all. Again, you know, it all is going to be dependent on budget. We know how those things go, but hopefully we can get that approved. But I will reach out to him, and from there I will hit you all up via email and let you all know a status report of that. Any other discussion around our virtual town hall series before we move forward to new business?
Andre,
Yes,
I'm not sure if you, sorry.
Then we had two people. We had Allison and then Miss King. Were both of you trying to say something?
Miss King can go first.
No, I was just going to affirm the thing about the flyers because the time when we had the largest turnout, I actually went and put flyers in strategic locations in the first district, you know, at churches and like barbershops, beauty shops, that kind of thing. So I was going to say, you know, we can kind of be strategic about it. And then the other thing I want to say really quickly is maybe once a year, we should have one in person, like on Saturday. And maybe the city manager can let the people that would be overtime, like get off early during the week so that they could participate in the off hours. But maybe we could have just one a year or two a year in person someplace, you know, like at the police station or East Bluff Center or something like that.
Yeah, I like that idea. You know, as the light is somewhat showing from this pandemic that we're currently in, but I would love for us to host some in-person things. I think that would be great. Allison?
So I work part-time at Office Depot Office Max. I definitely could do, like, I could print some off, like me personally, and then like I have a certain percent discount as well. And if they're black and white, honestly, they're really cheap. So, I mean, I can do like maybe 200 copies and like probably for maybe $20 to $30. I definitely can ask my managers. They would probably be very willing for it. So if that's something too, I definitely can print some off at work. And then if Andre, like you said, if you wanted to do it, and then not sure if any city employee wants to print some off. But again, it's up to everyone.
Okay, no, that's good context. Thank you, Allison. Anyone else regarding this item before we move on to new business?
Shalanda, I don't have a printer, but I'm willing to donate something to whoever actually does the printer in support of getting this done.
Thank you, Shalandra. We appreciate your willingness. Dr. Zagardo?
Yeah, thanks. I'd also like to somehow weave in to our flyer or our social media or whatever, when we find an audience to talk to about this meeting and get maybe more citizens to address this committee, because we're not really promoting that anymore either. So somehow maybe we could get, 2 for 1 on the promotion of the meetings, because they are allowed to address this committee also. So I don't know if we have any ideas about that, but if we're going to go to the trouble of making a flyer, we might want to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I don't know. How do people feel about that?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Front and back, get the information out there. Chief Theobald, were you getting ready to say something, sir?
Yeah, I was gonna just mention too that if you know, if there's a flyer that's designated, one of the things that we could probably do to is put one right in the lobby here at the PD too, you know, so direct involvement for people that were gonna come in for one reason or another to the police department, you know, they can see it, because we know that, you know, most of it's gonna be related to that. You know, maybe they have an ongoing issue, maybe they have a complaint, or maybe they're just here for some other reason. But now that our doors are back open, that there's pretty steady flow of people in that do come in during the day shift hours. So.
Yeah, thank you. Great suggestion. Definitely noted. Okay, well, so we're going to go ahead now and move forward to new business. The first item is.
Sorry. Hi. I just want to let everyone know I have to leave, but thank you so much for having me. I do apologize again.
Okay, Megan, you take care.
Have a good one. I'll see you guys next meeting.
All right. And so again, the item of new business is any updates or discussion around the HB 365 legislation that came from the state of Illinois. I talked to Chief Theobald about this last month before our last month meeting was canceled, and just maybe for him to give us kind of a Cliff Note version of, you know, where things are right now. And then if anyone maybe has any, you know, surface level questions they would like to ask, this could be the time to do that. You know, again, we know this is a very fluid situation, but I thought that this would be a good avenue for us to at least have some discussion. So Chief, if you can give us, you know, any insight that you have on kind of where things are right now. And then if anybody has any, you know, basic questions to ask him, that would be appreciated.
Sure. And I will try to summarize the best I can, because for anybody that's actually looked at it, there's a lot there. So if you pull the whole bill, you don't want to use your personal printer for that one, believe me, because there's a lot of pages in it. So most people know that this started, you know, quite a while ago here, and the legislators passed the bill, but we were waiting to see what the governor was going to do, and it took several weeks for that to get signed. So in the meantime, what we did, going back a while now, weeks, if not, I'm trying to remember the date that it got passed, but obviously the governor just signed it a couple weeks ago. But prior to that, what we did is we started going through the process of kind of listing everything out and prioritizing and what needed to be changed or potentially changed in our policies, because that's kind of how we're going to have to start with this process. We have tons of rules, tons of orders, tons of policies that the police department goes by. All those are either based on the law or even more than the law. So some of them are just procedures that, you know, they don't have anything to do with law, but you know, there's a lot of procedures that police officers have to learn. But what we did is we identified about 10 or 11 major policies that were based on the changes that are getting pushed forward with this legislation, and that's where we started. We didn't want to just wait to see what the governor was going to do. We wanted to get this going and start, you know, getting through it, because there's a lot there. Normally, what happens is when there's a new law, it goes into effect in January. That's how I've seen it happen before. Usually, it's January of every year. And from time to time, those change. You know, sometimes you'll have a different variation or something added, something subtracted. The difference on this is a whole bunch of stuff all at once. And so we're looking at it. We've been studying it, and we're trying to identify which parts of our policies are going to have to be changed. So what we're doing now is, and actually tomorrow I have an appointment with our city legal, is we take those policies, I talk to city legal about them. They then go back with their legal view of it and say, this means this and this means that. So that we can eventually not only change what we call our general orders, but then be able to train our officers to know what the changes mean. So a lot of the stuff that's in there, and I think the intention of it is, at least, there's a lot of different things in there, but a lot of it has to do with use of force stuff, detention of or in custody stuff. I mean, there's a lot of different areas that we're going to have to look at. When we've been looking at it here at the department, what we found is a lot of the stuff we already do. So again, this is state legislation. This isn't just specific to one area. It's state legislation. So they're trying to get everybody on the same page across the entire state. But a majority of it, a good portion of it anyway, that we've looked at, we already do here at our police department, and we have been doing it in the police department. And we may have to change a word here or a little bit here, a little bit there, but a lot of it is just going to be open to interpretation. So that's kind of where we're at right now. There's going to be some other things that are timing wise that they're going to have to, the jail system, the court system is going to have to find out how to process. But what we're going to have to do is specifically find out what the language of it means in certain cases. And that's the challenging part when you have this many changes at one time and this much legislation coming at you. Because nobody wants to be that officer or that doesn't know or has a misinterpretation that ends up being the one that did it wrong. So that's where we're at right now as a department. I've been spent a lot of time going to different shifts, different hours of the day, different units, talking to officers, explaining the process of how we're going to get through this. And then also trying to get some kind of like we're doing right now, talking to them and seeing what their concerns are with it and how we can, get through this challenge of this much information and the timeliness that it's needed to get done. So, specific to what does this mean? What does that word mean? What does this language mean? That's the real challenge for us. I think some of it is just because there's so much of it. Some of it can be a little bit confusing, and that's the answers we're going to need to get, because when we train our officers, we need to make sure that they know what the interpretation of it is, and so they can proceed with it, right? Because it is a law, and that's what we do. So.
Thank you, Chief. Just for the record, it looks like Ms. Karen J. Wilson has entered the Zoom building. So let's make sure that she is reflected in the minutes, please. And then also our police union president, Saul, is also in the Zoom building as well, too. So welcome to you both. Does anybody have any questions for the chief that they would like to ask? Ms. Birch, you may go ahead and proceed, and then I see Dr. Zagardo is second. So go ahead, Shalendra.
She can go first. I actually have a comment more so than a question. I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. Dr. Zagardo, you can go, and then Ms. Birch can go with her comment after that.
Okay, thanks, Chief, for explaining that to us. I have two questions. One, a couple, I would say months ago, Chief Marion alluded to several changes that you all were implementing. And so the first question is, were those, we were supposed to get a summary of those, and I'm not sure if I missed it. Kind of what were those, and were those in anticipation of this legislation? And then the second question is, I understand you got a lot of I's to dot and T's to cross, but what would you perceive to be you said something about use of force and detention and custody. Are the changes mostly around those two topics, or what are the most significant that you see right now? I know you can't give me a complete answer because you haven't gotten through the whole document yet, but of the 10 to 12 major policies that you all started on, what's going to be the biggest change? You said a lot of the changes you guys already do here in Peoria. So what are people going to see? Not necessary changes inside the department, but what is the community going to see you guys doing differently because of this legislation?
Okay, so let me answer the first one in reference to whichever policy Marion was talking about in January. I don't know, Janice, but I will say that with all the rules, regulations, policies that we have, we constantly update those. So I don't know specifically which one he would have been talking about. If you do remember, let me know and I'll be able to tell you. But it's pretty steady progress around here in updating, not only based on law, but you know, there's other circumstances that sometimes come up. So part of the prioritization, I guess, of this is there's certain dates that are in the bill right now, and one of those dates is July 1st. Okay, so there's certain things based on the bill that are going to be implemented by July 1st, and then there's additional stuff. Some of it starts in January of 2022, and then sometimes, depending on the size of the agency or what they happen to be talking about, it could be 2022, it goes all the way out even further. So there's different timelines that need to be addressed. What we're doing right now is making sure that we hit the July 1st timeline. Now there's all potentially, because the legislature will be back in session April, May, there's always potential that there's a trailer bill or there's something that they'll change in between then and July 1st also. Something could get switched around, cleaned up, whatever you want to call it. So, but what we're doing is when we looked at, and you know, we have some people that are more, you know, taking a deeper dive than others, but you're looking at, you know, 700 or whatever pages. What we're trying to identify is say, okay, here's a page of something that we're going to have to change in our policy. Mark that. Let's look at that. Let's get an answer on that, and then let's switch that over. So publicly, unless you're, you know, directly involved in police work or a lawyer or in the court system, there may not be a whole lot that you're going to identify, you know, regularly. I think some of this stuff's tied. I'll give you an example. Some of this stuff's tied to body cameras. There's timelines tied to body cameras and implementing a program of body cameras. You know, a department this size has to have them by this year, the next year, or whatever. That doesn't affect us because we've already had them, right? So, you know, we don't have to worry about a timeline of something that we already have, as well as, you know, so there's agency out there, in addition to having to change their policies or come up with a whole system like we do for use of force tracking and training and evaluation. They may be starting completely from scratch, and we're not. The 2022 stuff also starts talking about the pretrial release programs, bails, all that stuff. Again, most people know this, but you know, that's Sheriff's Department, that's the jail. You know, that's court system stuff that we may have some impact from, but that's going to be, we don't run the jail, so that's kind of what they're going to be, their side of it. It may affect us of how we handle a call for service or the end result of an eventual call for service. if perhaps an innocent doesn't meet the parameters of a custodial arrest or something like that. But a lot of those things, when you talk about bail and pretrial releases and all that, that's going to be the court system and the sheriff's department. So what we're working on specifically between March, whatever we are here today, 10th to July 1st, is what's going to affect how we do operations here at the Peoria Police Department. Because even with that, and even with the policies that we have in place that are, you know, accredited nationally and been vetted, there's still going to have to be changes, and we got a lot of work to do between then and now and then. I don't know if I answered all. I think you had a couple of questions. So if you have any follow-up, feel free.
Well, it sounds like a pretty complicated bill, and I kind of had thrown out to Andre when it passed that maybe we need to have a panel discussion, and it'd be great to coordinate something with the police and the city and, you know, I don't know, the law community and the justice community. And I'd love to see a panel put together because it sounds so incredibly complicated and far reaching that I think we're going to be figuring out what's in it for a long time to come. So if anybody hears about anybody putting a panel together, I'd love to hear it. If not, we should do it. I think we should put something together if no one else is going to, because it sounds like you're going to be wading through this for a long time. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I think, I mean, obviously, you can't, some of this is going to have to be up for legal interpretation, so we're going to need lawyers involved. You know, we have city legal, obviously, Moss, we have a couple city legal people involved with this that are going to help us along the way. And then there's also, you know, there'll be some direct correlation and conversation with our state's attorney because there's involvement on that end. You know, how do you process these things through the court system, or what's their expectation now as opposed to after July 1st of what an officer does, you know, in reference to arrest or all kinds of things. So, you know, those are the two people that I'm going to lean on heavily right now is our, you know, our legal team at the city. And then later on down the road, long before July 1st is our state attorney and get some input from her. So, you know, it's a challenge, but you know, I think that a lot of this stuff is, you know, it needed to be done. It just, what we just need to filter through is what it means on it, you know, the interpretation of it, you know, what does this word mean versus what is the intent of it, you know, all those things. Some of that's what the law is, but there's just a whole lot right now. So.
Thank you. Shalandra had a comment, and then Nina, you can go right after her if that's okay. Shalandra, you can go ahead and move forward with your comment, please.
Sorry about that. I just wanted to say that I'm glad the police department has already started some of these things and put them into play. I'm an administrator in corrections, and my primary job is to focus on program sentence credit. And so changing all of those policies to match the crime bill so far has been a big undertaking for just me. So I can just imagine how much the police department has had to have, because there's a good portion of the crime bill that focus on giving committed people sentencing credit for various programs. Even self-help programs is something that they now have the ability to get credit for. So I definitely commend the police department for being ahead of the game on that.
Thanks. Yeah, we're trying to be proactive on it. And then on the back of my mind, I'm like, in May, are they going to completely, you know, there's at least, we expect at least some potential changes between now and July 1st. So, but we definitely didn't want to wait. You know, this isn't something you want, as you know now, with the work you do, this isn't something you want to wait till the last minute on, because it wouldn't go well.
I definitely feel like July 1st is tomorrow.
I do not envy the spaces that you all are in right now. Thank you for sharing that. Nina?
Thank you. I was going to say, Dr. Zagardo, I think the panel is a great idea. And definitely, or even if it's a subcommittee, if we're the ones creating it, I don't know if it's worth creating a subcommittee for us to review this bill in more detail and see if there are any recommended changes to how we do things as a committee. So whether it's a panel or a subcommittee, I'd be happy to be on that. I did want to point out, and I'm sorry if this was mentioned before and I missed it, but Ms. Patel did send a pretty detailed summary of the bill that was really helpful. I have to go back at it and look through it again. There's a lot, even in the summary, but it was sent on January 28th, if anyone's interested.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that back up. And that's
Just to quickly respond to Nina, I kind of meant a panel for people to teach us because I have no idea what's in this. After I saw Ms. Patel's summary, I thought, oh my God, there's like 20 different departments involved, as Chief said. I mean, I think we're going to be talking about this for a long time, trying to figure out what's in there. So I think Ms. Patel did an excellent job with that summary, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I could definitely see a nice panel featuring law enforcement, politicians that may have been involved, various departments that are affected. I think this would be a good opportunity, whether we're a part of it or just active participants. I would definitely welcome that opportunity. Chief, were you getting ready to unmute yourself, sir?
Yeah, Andre, and I think just to follow up for what Jana was saying, I think, there's a lot, like everybody, if anybody's looked at it, but there is some specific language in there to reference to complaints. So I think, whether or not you end up with the subcommittee or it's just something that we discuss later on down the road after I get a few more answers, there could be some relevance there for the committee here, the advisory committee, to understand what the new legislation is going to bring to the table on that part of it. Not only in reference to complaints, but how complaints are going to be then archived and there's a section. It's not the biggest section by any means, but there is a section in reference to that, and then police misconduct and the archiving of that as a whole, as far as the state goes. So that's just one subsection of the bill, but I think it will have some relevance in advisory groups delivery when someone is asked about, or anybody in the group is asked about how a complaint works, or what the future holds for it. So we probably won't have all those answers for a little while, but as soon as I get something, I think that's something we could probably share to and make sure the bullet points are down, that on this date this part of it's going to change, which will affect the process of how a complaint is developed or addressed. And it's definitely not going to be more restrictive on the police department side. It's going to open the door up even more for a citizen to be heard, I guess you'd say. So
thank you. That would be great, as we get more details and context around it, and seeing how our roles may change, so that way we can be prepared for that if we need to adjust the guidelines that we've created. In the past couple months, we can make some amendments, and just to reflect the current legislation. Any other comments or questions or concerns for Chief before we move on to the next item of new business?
I do.
Chair.
I had my hand up too. Sorry. Go ahead, Ms. King.
No, go ahead.
Allison and Ms. King. So you got Ms. King, go ahead and go first. We will give you deference, and then Allison can go after you.
Allison let me go first the last time. She can go first.
Okay, Allison, you can go first. I was just being nice to Ms. King, Allison, nothing personal. You know you're my girl.
No, I don't. No, Miss King. You know, my biggest concern, I guess, is like the whole interpretation part because, you know, I think this panel should also be part of the interpretation of what's going on, especially because, like, you know, we do have people who have legal backgrounds, like Attorney Gugis, you know, myself, I've been a paralegal, legal secretary. So I think, you know, being part of the interpretation for us, like our committee would definitely benefit because again, you know, I think the biggest concern too that I had was, I guess, you know, as, you know, I'm hoping that our roles do change, like this committee, that we're not just so much like, you know, advisory, that we're so, you know, that we actually have, you know, weigh in and like our word does have standing. Because, you know, with no, with our word not standing, I mean, we don't have much people coming to us. I think, you know, changing how things are done, you know, the flow chart that we had should definitely be changed because maybe then we'll be able to hear more people and more people would be willing to come forward to us, especially because then if we can control then and be able to kind of, you know, put ourselves out there more, where people actually want to feel like some people feel comfortable coming forward to us, you know, and that we're all like in the same pretty much line side by side, you know, hearing the community. Because again, if we have this top bottom type rank thing, you know, people are not going to want to come forward and talk with us. So I think that's another big thing that I'm hoping that this bill allows us to become where our word does have standing, and that we can, you know, be more engaged with the community. And then I just had a question for Sal, the union president. Um, you know, as you know, in your position, have you had any or heard any concerns from police officers about this bill?
I would say absolutely, just because as most bills come through and as most laws are made, there's a lot of general language in it. So because there's general language, you have different people interpreting it in different ways. So I would say for sure there's concern, but there's also a lot of misconceptions of the bill. So as the chief said, as our department goes through and analyzes the bill with legal and with everyone else, hopefully they can bring not only the appropriate rules and policies in place, but a clear understanding of that bill.
And just for the record, I gave Saul a title that I'm not sure if he wants, but he is a board member, not necessarily the president of the police union. So sorry for giving you additional responsibilities there, Saul.
It's all good. I don't want it.
Allison, did you have anything else?
I guess just, you know, we hope that, you know, we can all come together to kind of make decisions together. Because again, just if one body just tries to interpret it, again, it's gonna just come back down to some people still feel unfair, or you know, interpretations are made where, you know, it takes away from the bill.
Thank you, Allison. Ms. King?
I was just going to say, Allison, even though there's a huge age gap, you and I are on the same line, because one of my questions was going to be about any feedback that they may have gotten from rank and file. As a former educator who worked for the community college, for the prison system in Canton, and for the College of Medicine, one of the things I always did was to bring the people that were being impacted into the conversation. And in our particular roles, we talked to the brass at the police department. And there have been occasions, like when I did the ride along, that I talked to somebody who's actually on the street. And I was just wondering if there's any opportunity, Chief, that sometimes there could be like one or two rank and file officers to talk to us and voice concerns, and we could exchange ideas and conversations.
Yes, ma'am. And I think, just having Saul here is a good start. He's not the president, but he's on the executive board, as Andre said. And he does hear a lot of that stuff that maybe wouldn't come to me. And as I talked about earlier, one of the things I've been trying to do, as opposed to, we have 200, plus officers here, and I doubt I'll be able to talk to them all, but I've been trying very hard lately, to come in at 11 o'clock at night and hit the midnight shift, or, the detective bureau or whatever. I've been trying to touch base with as many in-person rooms as I can to get feedback, because if I'm going to be sitting with the city legal, or I'm going to be sitting with the state's attorney and asking questions about how we move forward with all this, I may not think of everything, right? Just because I got as we say, a gold badge doesn't make me that much smarter than everybody else. So I have been talking to officers and as much as I can over the last couple of weeks since this passed, or the governor signed it, I should say, and explaining not only what the department's plans are here, how we're going to process it, but getting feedback from them. What is your concern with this? You know how to do your job a certain way, and the laws that you got trained on all the way from the academy till now, but how do you handle that call? How do you handle that incident? How do you handle that type of situation on July 2nd? If you don't know the answer to that, we need to know so that we can ask somebody and get that interpretation. And that interpretation is going to make the difference of an officer potentially, getting in trouble or not, or doing the right thing, doing the wrong thing according to the law. So they need to know that. Not only they held responsible for that, but all the way up to myself. So, that's what we're pushing forward here between now and July 1st. How quick can we process it, have accurate, up-to-date information, because some of it still may change between now and July, and make sure that the officers out there that have to deal with it day in and day out understand it and apply the law correctly. So it's a big deal. I mean, not only is it a big deal to someone like myself, but it's a big deal for every officer that has that change that they're thinking about and processing between now and whenever it's implemented. So there's concern there. I think that we're especially becoming a younger department. I think the younger the people are, probably the more adaptable they are. I'd be the first to tell you it's probably easier, but they also need to understand what it means too, and I think it's all doable. It's just it's about timing, and it's about the education of it all, and the interpretation. And when your name's on it, you want to have the right answer. So.
Well, my thoughts are not just strictly purely on the changes that the law is undergoing, but I'm talking about our ultimate goal of improving police community relations. There's nothing I would like better than to hear some recommendations and suggestions from the rank and file about how to do that. When I did the ride along, I heard things, and sometimes in conversation one-on-one, but I just like to hear the police perspective on what they would think would be a good strategy to help improve police community relations. When I worked at the prison, I always got feedback from the inmates. When I worked at the College of Medicine, I always got feedback from medical students. And so I was just curious about whether or not that would be permitted for them to give us candid and direct feedback, because we've been talking about them, but we don't actually talk to them or with them.
Yeah, Lori, I'm definitely open to it. If the board decides that they're okay with that, I'm certainly. You can see I'm in this room, although I'm by myself. I'll be fine with that, having you know, we can invite some people, you know, different officers and different jobs to answer some questions. If the board would like to do that, I'm all for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of what I was thinking about, having a panel, all the people it affects, you know, specifically our committee and you all. I mean, that's kind of what we're here for. I think we could easily fill some important time if we're allowed to talk to one another.
Awesome. Yeah, great discussion. I think we all, you know, need to get the appropriate stakeholders at the table, including this committee and those from the police and legal, and ongoing discussion will happen. You know, so let's stay tuned and keep pushing. Now we're going to go ahead and move forward to item B of new business, and that's the chief of police search. Chief Theobald, if you have any updates regarding the search, that would be great. And then I also do want to say a shameless plug, if you have not completed the survey that is available, it closes March 19th. It's electronically available right now via the City of Peoria's Facebook page. I've seen it shared on there. I've seen it shared on Nextdoor, and it's on the City of Peoria's website as well. And they do have paper copies available at all of the Peoria Public Library locations if you need access to a paper copy. So I'll go ahead and yield to you, Chief, if you have any update regarding the search.
No, sir. I really don't. I know that the deadline for resumes, I think, is tomorrow. So I guess it's getting there. And then, you know, I guess the manager would probably be a better person to ask if we ever invited him to the meeting in reference to this. But I believe tomorrow's the deadline for the resumes, and then the process of vetting applicants and interviews would be, you know, coming up here and probably into April, towards April, I'm assuming, with the anticipated timeline of having potentially selection done in May is the timeline that I was initially told about. So I think, as far as I know, I haven't been told differently, that the timeline is still in effect, that with those dates. So I really don't have any other information for that. I've been really trying to, you know, I'm always happy to answer any questions I do know stuff about, but, you know, HR's doing their thing with this, and I've been trying to do my best to, you know, to stay out of it, really, you know. But I'm always open for anybody, you know, to ask me a question. So.
Thank you, Chief. So it looks like things are moving forward. Regarding the survey, if you all could take the challenge of sharing that on your social media and texting the link, you know, to 5 of your friends, I think getting that citizen feedback is very important. I know our citizens want to engage. Sometimes they just don't know the outlets to engage. So if we can help promote that and bring that information to them, that would be great. Because again, that survey closes March 19th. Does anybody have any follow-up questions regarding the search, maybe for the chief, or any questions about the survey? All right, thank you. We'll go ahead and move forward now. The next item I put on the agenda was just next steps forward, you know, and just having some preliminary conversation of, you know, what are the next steps forward for this committee? You know, we motioned earlier that we want to move forward with attempting to keep the virtual town hall series moving forward. And so we'll see if that's a possibility. But are there any other next steps forward that you all can think about that we can do to take this committee, you know, to the next level? You know, outside of, we know we need to promote more. I think that we need to have people who, because when it's everybody's responsibility, it's no one's responsibility. And so I would like to see, and, you know, you don't have to decide right now, but I would love to see, you know, 2 or 3 people say, hey, I'm going to be the communication champion for this committee. And you take responsibility for, you know, and I'm not saying you need to go around Peoria with 2,000 flyers and hit every radio station in Peoria, But I'm just saying, if we know that there's 3 people's job, and then we're all out here still promoting, but those 3 people are responsible for going to different events to talk about it, or maybe they just bring these things to the table. Hey, this neighborhood association meets on Thursday, and they would love for a member of our committee to come and talk to them. You know, you're just getting the information out, and then we can tackle this. But I think if we have some more intentional conversation and intentional promotion, we can plug our virtual town hall series to have better attendance. And then also we could bring more awareness to these standing meetings. So that way citizens, if they want to address us with any potential grievances they have, they'll know about us. But any other questions or comments, concerns, or suggestions regarding, you know, next steps forward at this time?
May I speak, Andre?
Yes, Ms. King.
I was just going to say that I would like for you to add the suggestion that I just made going forward, because I think there would be nothing better than to go forward and go to the next level and come out with a model that we could say that all stakeholders were engaged in its development and implementation. So, you know, we could meet with regular police officers and hear their concerns, you know, as we, you know, modify, solidify, you know, our goals and accomplishments going forward. So I would like that to be on the agenda.
Thank you. Noted. If you can, Ms. King, if you can paraphrase that and just email that to me, I will note that and I will put that on the agenda for next month.
Okay,
Yep. Thank you.
thank you.
Anything else that anybody can think of? Or Dr. Zagardo, you'll see you got a finger up there.
I heard Nina say that she'd be willing to help put a panel together. I don't know what it looks like. I have no idea, but I think we need to talk about this. I think we start with, you know, maybe Ms. Patel's summary and some of the things Chief said, some of the things Lorraine and Allison said, some of the things Mr. Espinal said about officers. Maybe it's just a panel, you know, internal between community members and the police. I don't know, but I would work with Nina. If anybody else wants to work, I'd take that on. I'm not going anywhere because I'm not vaccinated. So I'm not going to go out in the public and hand things out unless I can just stuff them in a mailbox. I would do that. But I'd volunteer to set some sort of conversation up if Nina's interested in doing it with me. And I see her hand was up for a second. So let me know and we could, you know, work offline to do that.
Thank you. Nina, then Allison.
Oh, I was just saying, I would love to get that conversation going.
Thank you. Allison, then Stelandra.
So I interned for Karina Villa. She's the 25th district senator. And she actually worked with the people who helped with the bill. I can ask her if she can reach out to them to see if they have time. Like once you guys figure out, like, you know, what stakeholders, you know, we should at least have at that meeting. And then we can create like a date and time, and I can ask her to ask them if they can, you know, come down to kind of help with those interpretations to kind of see what they meant. You know, and if they'd be willing to kind of give us some advice on, you know, what we can do. And, you know, some police officers have some concerns about, you know, the bill itself. I mean, they can talk to the people who, I mean, helped create the bill.
No, that would be good. I think exploring, you know, who would want to participate, who will feel comfortable participating. I think right now, because the situation is so fluid, I could definitely see some people being hesitant on participating. So hopefully more details are ironed out over the next couple of weeks. So then that way, when we do have a panel, we can be giving out concrete information and not, you know, a forecast of it. It's a 30% chance of rain tomorrow, but we're not sure. You know, we want to give some concrete answers if possible. So that's definitely a good suggestion. Solandra, I believe you had your hand up.
I was just joining in with the assistant. I would offer my assistance to help. That was all I was saying.
Oh, awesome. Sounds good. Sounds good. Appreciate your willingness there. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to suggest, or yeah, go ahead, Dr. Zagardo.
So I think I had kind of brought this up to you. I'm going to take a left turn here, completely unrelated to this bill. I mean, I've noticed there's a lot of things happening in the community, and I'd like to learn more about them, things particularly related to law enforcement. And I know Shalandra told me she's heading up a new program, and there's some other things that you and I had noticed in the newspaper, Andre. So I don't know if the committee's interested, but I mean, we could periodically hold panels where we're learning and teaching each other, asking maybe guest presenters to tell us about their programs in town, maybe that are more based in the community, or anything regarding police and community relations. It seems to me like there's some things going on that I'm not very well educated about or informed about. And if we could maybe have a guest come periodically to tell us about that, either here at this meeting or at our zip code meeting or whatever. But I think that'd be something that would be good for us, for our committee to talk about, how, from the community's perspective.
No, I like that idea. It could easily be a new business item at this meeting or at our virtual town hall series. Similar to when we had the DOJ come talk to us. We put him on the agenda, and he was able to talk as long as he needed to. So that could be something that we can do as you all are in the community and you're fostering these relationships. If you feel like it would be impactful for that person to come and give a presentation on some of the things that they're doing, that would be great.
I mean, just to follow up on that, I see Lorraine has her hand up, but I'd like to learn more about the center that the police have over there next door to Heartland. I kind of missed all that last year. It was a blur. So I'd like to learn about that. And there's a lot of things going on that I'd like to learn more about. So I don't think we'd ever be lacking for a guest presenter to help us, learn more about the community.
No, I like that. We can reach out to Christopher Johnson. I'm sure he would love to come and speak to us. For those of us who participated in the Citizens Academy, he did talk to us there. And there was a lot of great things. Their relationship with OSF and some of the things that they're providing as well too. So we can definitely, have an ongoing agenda item under old business that is, community outreach or whatever we want to call it. So that's a great suggestion, Dr. Zagardo. Let's start thinking about groups that we want to maybe come talk to us. Maybe let's compile a list, and then we can strategically schedule those, whether it's one or two, per meeting, whatever makes months. But definitely a great suggestion, and let's start moving forward on that. Ms. King, did you have a virtual hand up there?
I hadn't taken it down from the last time. I'm sorry.
Okay, that virtual hand was probably tired. It's been up.
Hey, sorry, everyone. I have to get going. Thank you so much for the opportunity for me to join you guys and everything. So I really appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah, thank you, Saul, for being here. You take care, sir.
Andre, I was just gonna add, I think too, we should have the Bradley's chief of police, especially because, we had the shooting recently, literally right next to campus, the El Zarape strip right there. And, obviously kind of like what their police officers see over here on a.
No, that's a good suggestion. I would welcome that. I know they have their own police department, but I think just demonstrating that we are, we're just trying to build bridges, excuse me. And so I think that would be a good suggestion, and maybe we can reach out to them. Good suggestion, Allison. So now let's go ahead and move forward now. Chief, do you have any general police updates?
Andre, can I just add one more thing? Just
Yeah,
a quick note. If we did have guest speakers, that would also be another way for us to get the word out about that. They could maybe bring along, some kind of audience participation. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of ways to get us out there more in the public.
The more exposure opportunities, the better, and you invite somebody to come speak, and then they go back to their group and say, hey, did you know there was an advisory committee on police community relations? I just did a presentation to them. Oh, I didn't know that, so no, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Chief, any notable stats or anything that you feel you need to share with us, sir?
I don't have any current stats for you, Andre, but Dave's been off a little bit this week, so I wasn't able to get those from. But I will say, we do get a lot of moving parts going on right now, down here. You know, we have 10 new officers in the academy. We have 10 new officers out on the street with their field training officers, you know, engaging with the community. We have the other officers that are down in Champaign, down at the U of I at the academy. We're looking forward to get them back to help with our staffing issues. We have upcoming training starting here at the end of March, where every officer in the department goes through a 40-hour week. So there's going to be some opportunities there for not only mandated trainings, but some other intermingling stuff with some officer wellness and things like that that are well needed. So we have just this week a new list developing because we're doing promotional exams. And then we're also doing a police recruit test in April 16th and 17th. So we're looking for the brand new officers on that end of it. So you talk about advertising for the group here and what we do. If you're out there, word of mouth, whatever you want to do, or spread the word that we're looking for new police officers, and the test is going to be April 16th and 17th, which is a Friday and Saturday. And we want as many as we can get through the door to take the test, and hopefully we can get some more police officers here for the next 30 years. So if you know anybody that has interest in that kind of work, or family, friends, whatever, remind them. But April 16th and 17th, and we hope to get our numbers up that way.
Thank you, sir. I did have someone, he's younger, but he's in high school. I believe he's a junior, and he's interested. And I didn't know, is the Explorers program still going on?
Yeah, we still have the Explorers program, and we still have the Cadets program. So that would be more of a situation or age for an Explorer, and then maybe move into the Cadet program later, which is a paid position. We just we've dialed it back because we don't want the young kids in the building during this, the COVID situation. But we're hoping by summer, not only we're going to have an opportunity to hire a few more cadets, because we've had good luck with those young men and women to transition on to police officer, but also get the Explorer program up and running again. It was just a kind of not a good co-mingling situation to have that age group with our first responders all intermingling like they used to. So we've had to dial it back, but it's still, it's still there, ready to go again when we feel the time's right. And I'm hoping by summer, everything will kind of be back to normal. So
Awesome. I'll have to shoot you an email offline and get some contact for that Explorer program.
Yep, absolutely.
Dr. Zagardo, so you got a hand up there?
So I think it's kind of good news, this bad news you're giving us, that you had to scale back the program. Do you think you're going to have increased interest with when COVID's open? You're going to get more participation with the cadets? I mean, how many people did you have to turn away, or how drastically did you have to cut it back?
I think we have a couple sergeants and I think a detective that are involved with that program, and that's a volunteer program, obviously, when you're talking about kids that age. But there was a time frame that they were meeting regularly, and I'd see them in the building all the time. And we just completely shut that part of it down. I mean, we couldn't have it, and eventually when they get to a certain age, they're allowed to ride along. And again, you don't want them in close proximity inside of a squad car. So, that interaction that we've gotten used to that part was completely shut down. But they're still treading water with the program. And obviously we had a certain amount of the involved. So hopefully when the restrictions loosen or are done, we'll be able to bring them right back. And that's the plan. But just like they weren't be able to go to school, then they were, maybe we're getting there. We're getting there. So I know that with the cadets, we've actually hired a couple that are in the academy now. So we'll be upping our numbers this summer, and hiring some new cadets also. And that's that 18 to, 17, 18, 21 age group right before they become police officers. So
Janice, I was just gonna add, I was a police explorer back home too. I aged out and I'm still an advisor, and I mean, anywhere right now, all of the police explorer programs are down numbers because of COVID. I mean, we constantly have Zoom meetings, which is tough because, we can't do regular trainings like how we teach how to do handcuffing, traffic stops, it's difficult because, those are what they want to do. That's what attracts them. They really want to learn hands-on, but it's difficult because of COVID. So honestly, everywhere Explorer program is down just because of COVID.
Thank you, Allison, for that context. At this time, if no one else has anything for the chief, we will move on to any maybe pre-submitted submissions for a citizen's opportunity to address the advisory committee. Did we get anything, Christina?
No, I did not receive anything.
All right, thank you. Any last minute items for the good of the cause? This is anything good for the order that anybody would like to share?
I'd like to share some. Everybody already knows this, but Andre's going to start being busy on Tuesday nights also. So
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
I'll see him there at some point.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Chief. I appreciate that. I'm excited. Still got to get across the finish line here in a few weeks, and then from there the real work begins. I'm blessed and humbled to just be in this opportunity. We're grateful, so I appreciate you all. Your support, prayers, positive vibes, messages, emails are all appreciated. Thank you.
I have something to say, if you don't mind.
Sure, Ms. King, go ahead.
I just like to thank everybody on the committee, for your great input, and especially our chair and co-chairs. So I just want you to know that I really appreciate the work that you all do and put into it.
Thank you, Ms. King. I appreciate that, and we appreciate you as always. The busiest retired person I know, between you, Barry Cannon. I think you all take the hat for the most active retired person I know. So that's awesome. Anybody else got anything? All right. If not, I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting at 6:58.
I'll make that motion under the wire, 6:58.
Yes, 2 minutes under. Look at us. Motion by Dr. Zagardo and properly second by Karen J. Wilson. Christina, please perform the roll, please.
Andre Allen,
Yes.
Shalandra Birch,
Yes.
Allison Galvin,
Yes.
Nina Gugis,
Yes.
Lorraine King,
Yay!
Sharon Kramer,
Yes.
Chief Theobald,
Yes.
Karen Wilson,
Yes.
Janice Zagardo.
Yes.
All right, we are officially adjourned at 6:58. Please complete the survey if you have not done that yet. Shameless plug. And I will see you all soon. You all take care and be safe.